All right. I'm going to wait just a little bit. There we go. I have audio on the stream. Symes, can you say something?
Test.
Cool. We got audio. Cool. Let's restart this. Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is MegaMasterX, and today we are howling at these awesome matches for New Moon at the N1 Grand Prix. This new format is definitely beneficial for newcomers and veterans alike because it features a number of different new things. There are public setups. Pretty much everything is open to everybody. So it's a perfect opportunity for you to get feedback on your setups, like the setups that we're looking at now. Right here, we're looking at Neryth and Disco setups. Symes, what can you tell us about what the conditions for these folders are?
So Disco's just playing a pretty standard Gregor setup. He's got a 4 Harry grab, so he could win with Slash Cross. He's also got a 4 Bubble Stars, which could do a lot of damage with a Elect Cross. He has a Element Man SP, which I also had. It's just a very strong chip. Neryth, on the other hand, is playing a interesting BDT folder with a G and W codes, actually. But he doesn't have any anti-damage or invis. So for defense, he'll mostly be relying on his Holy Panel and Aura and Barrier.
Now,
you know what they say: the best defense is a good offense, and his folder certainly has that.
It definitely kind of flies in the face of a bunch of conventional quote-unquote meta folder building, where people for a while thought that, you had to have these defensive options. But it looks like Neryth has made full use of the extra slots in the folder in order to have extra options against his opponents, which is actually pretty interesting, all things considered. It looks like in terms of Navi customizers, too, both users are taking full advantage of the Navi customizer space in order to get the maximum value out of it. So you see, of course, Neryth is running a total of custom 3, giving him full access to the entirety of the Navi of the custom screen via his Navi cust. There we go. Whereas Disco looks like he's opting for more aggression in terms of the attack, and also, of course, Tango. So yeah, let's go ahead and roll into the match and get this rolling. Now, it is worth noting, too, that both of these net battlers are regular tournament participants in the N1 Grand Prix, although Disco has been mysteriously absent. Maybe he's been training under the waterfalls, as it were, for upcoming events. But I just want to take a moment to just marvel at this custom screen. This is fantastic. Okay, that's okay. Oh, there's so many options here, and it looks like Neryth also. We are looking at this from Neryth's perspective. It looks like he does have Spoutman on reg. A lot of people have been playing with things like traps, like Element Trap, Anti-Navi on reg. In fact, it looks like Disco has Anti-Navi himself on reg, which is pretty interesting considering pretty much every person runs Navis.
Yeah, so Neryth is going in with the Aquaman, Harassman, and Neovari. And let's see what Disco does here.
Alright, so customization is going through here. It looks like Disco is going into Charge Cross while Neryth is going into Dust. Disco going right in for the Bubble Star while Beat's going to end up consuming whatever Disco had queued up. Now, I want to talk about this for a moment. So if Disco would have let that charge shot go just a little bit sooner, it could have taken full advantage of Invis frames, which both Ground Cross and Charge Cross have. Good God, look at the damage! It's just so much damage! Oh God! I want to clip that and put it on a digital picture frame. There was so much damage there. But Disco goes into the next round with Rage because he's taken more than 300 damage in a single hit from this. So he's going to go ahead and go into the next round with 2 times damage queued up on his next chip.
Yeah, let's see what chip he does here. Meanwhile, Neryth is going for
Now, a lot of the things that newcomers do tend to need to take advantage of is the crosses that they're using in tandem with their folders. So you see here that there's, with Dust Cross, there's auxiliary effects like being able to cycle through your custom screen, a whole bunch of other stuff. But it looks like Neryth is going to go into Tengu Cross here. I don't know. See, Disco's going to end up getting two times damage on this Erase Man here, and it looks like because he has anti-Navi Reg, that's more than likely what it's going to end up being. So he did get some value out of that, and it's confirmed. So he's going to be able to reclaim some of the area on his field with those books.
I think what Neryth wanted to do was get that middle panel, which was already cracked, and break it, so he could use his summon blocks, but thankfully for him, the cracks from Disco's Ground Man are letting him use the summons anyways.
It's pretty wise considering everything, but Disco's Tango is going to come in clutch, giving him Barrier 100 and just a little bit more of a buffer, even though it is just kind of, blown away by Tango Cross, but he ends up living to see another turn.
Yeah, if he gets a Q-Force or something on this turn, he could still bring it back.
Okay. So it looks like Neryth is probably going to end up opting for Holy Panel here. So we were talking at the top of the stream about how Neryth doesn't have that many defensive options aside from Holy Panels in his folder. One of the properties of Holy Panel is that even if a panel in front of you is cracked, it'll be repaired and turned into a Holy Panel. So he's going to be able to get that half damage effect from Holy Panels. On top of everything, Disco goes into Electros as Neryth sets up the Holy Panel. Oh, this is going to be... Oh my god, the decross!
And Neryth closes it out with the Element Man.
Nice and clean, no caffeine. That was a clean round from Neryth versus Disco.
Now we go into the second round. Let's see what Disco does to try and adapt to this.
Now, Disco is usually one of the most analytical players in the M1 Grand Prix, and tends to kind of take into account and adjust usually after the first round. Even if he goes down, he's able to kind of walk it back and adapt. But given the setups for both of these players, I think it's going to be a little tricky for him to be able to have answers that are sufficient to stop Neryth's momentum, especially considering last game's turn 1, which was startling.
Well, he needs to abuse the fact that Neryth doesn't have any anti-damage or invis, so he can get like a slow gauge and use that with like a race cross or something. He could really do a lot of damage in one turn.
For sure.
And then also defend against whatever Neryth tries to do.
I think that one of the chips that might end up really, really hurting Neryth in the long term if he doesn't go into any kind of Tengu Cross is actually Get On. Because he doesn't have access to any sort of shoes on the cusp. And a lot of his options, I mean, he just doesn't have that many options there. Disco's opting for Ground Man to go ahead and break some of these grass panels and get some damage on the board as well.
Disco has also decided to not use a cross on this first turn.
Sticking with that rage. And Anti-Navi's going to end up taking that. That is so smart. He held on to that Anti-Navi for just the right time. I think that was actually pretty wise.
Now Neryth puts his own anti-Navi up. Now the thing is, if Disco uses a ×2 Navi with that anger, then it will steal that, so that could be a huge turnaround.
It could. And it'll be really interesting to see if that actually ends up happening. Because just the way we've been playing a lot around in the M1 Grand Prix with how time freeze exactly works in tandem with certain chip interactions, and community members like Mars have gone pretty far in finding out some really interesting quirks. I don't even know if it's fair to call them quirks or not, but interesting interactions between chips and how they work in terms of time freeze, in the context of time freeze. But let's go into this next turn. Disco going the Heat Cross while Neryth is sitting pretty on that. Anti-Navi is going to end up taking out the Judge Man. It's pretty much just denied.
Get his area back.
He's just looking. He's fishing. Neryth taking advantage of Tomahawk crosses 2 times chip
That's
charge.
actually gonna do it. Or that's gonna put him out. Oh, he was still blinking. Neryth used that ground man too early. Losing that Judgment really hurt Disco because he didn't get his area back and could never reach Neryth for that entire turn.
The only thing that Disco has to go off offensively in that specific turn that we just saw was just Buster shots. And of course the charge shot, but Neryth was making sure to kind of keep on that back row in order to kind of stay out of range of that Heat Cross charge shot. That was really unfortunate. He got no value out of the Judge Man steal whatsoever. If anything, he lost. It was just a bad situation. Going into custom, it looks like, is Neryth gonna set up for Maboomer? Yep. Disco opting for a beast out here. Neryth setting up the Holy Panel, denying Disco even more of his area. Ooh! Oh my goodness, using the triple shot in order to get ultimate value out of that is so smart because he doesn't have access to crosses that give him any sort of shoes. Ooh. I'm not sure why Disco life ordered there. Wasn't Neryth in Tengu Cross last turn?
He was in Tomahawk Cross. He switched to Tengu Cross this turn.
I see. So there was no way he could have read it.
Yeah, Neryth probably didn't want to deal with the Heat Cross anymore as Doc.
He could have still technically dealt with it by using Tomahawk's cross on the boomerangs, especially because Disco doesn't have access to any panels that wouldn't allow him to get hit by the boomerang. So he still could have technically broken the aura, but he would have wasted damage potential as a result. So going into Tomahawk or Tengu Cross was definitely the right move on Neryth's part. Alright. The traps are being set up as Neryth goes on the defensive with one of his only defensive options right now in Barrier 200.
Oh, if Disco stayed in that forward panel, he wouldn't have lost the anti-damage to that Summon Black.
That's very unfortunate, but a clean kill from Neryth as he drops the Buster shot and just lets it go. That was a really stellar match. All things considered, Disco really didn't have too terribly many options that he was able to undergo. Like just the pressure that Neryth was able to put on, so much damage in such a small time frame was way more than I think Disco's folder was prepared to handle. So let's take a moment and talk about if we can pull up Shadow and Salad, which is going to be our next match. Now, Shadow is I believe he was also in Cycle 1, if I remember correctly. Let's take a look at this specifically because, man after my heart, Shadow running Meteor Knuckle is probably one of my favorite Giga Chips ever. And then there's another participant, Day, that uses Meteor Knuckle as well. And it is just such a good chip.
Yeah, Shadow has Shadow's playing with a humor, so he's going to be staying in a base man a lot and going for ×2 chips. And he's also running a S code, so he's got static, flash bombs, bubble star. He has B banish, although he doesn't have double point for the B banish. He has slash man, so it's a very strong folder. Salad, on the other hand, is using a P code with BDT. So the P code has both players have Flash Bomb 3, which is a very good chip. She also has a circle gun to decross dust and clear traps. And also has the potential to form a bodyguard with a white pill, so that will be interesting to look out for.
I definitely want to take a moment also to call out the Anubis tech in this, because Anubis, if your opponent is not running Falter and doesn't have access to like Dust Cross to be able to get rid of objects on the field in a more kind of timely fashion, Anubis is a really interesting pressure tool that can be used, especially with the current setup. Now, what is a little interesting too is that a lot of people who tend to run Anubis do it in the context of trying to get Poison Pharaoh or run area control in order to drop Anubis on the back row. Because, I mean, if your opponent doesn't have options, it's a great way to bait out Dust Cross and get a free D-Cross with extra damage out of it, too. So it'll be really interesting to see how this match plays. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We are going to be seeing this match from Shadow's point of view here. Last Man running Element Man as well, so I also really I like the use of Element Man in a lot of these folders specifically because it just gives you a couple of different options in a singular chip. So if you're not able to, you know, if you're up against like, I don't know, Get On, you just have tons of options.
Alright, so Salad is opening with Dust Cross to suck the cubes. Although he accidentally TFC'd the anti-damage over the Erase Man. That was a misplay.
So by Shadow getting a charge shot off against Salad, he now knows that Salad doesn't have anti-damage queued up. So if a player doesn't take the time to look at their opponent's setup there, they won't have the information necessary to make kind of more informed decisions about the types of traps that they're running, especially when traps like, you know, like Element Trap, for instance, it can break auras. Like, you need to be able to be prepared for that in the event that it actually occurs.
Yeah, the fact that she used the trap other than anti-damage means we won't be seeing the bodyguard in this game, unfortunately. Since either the anti-sword or anti-navi is already gone.
And I'm really interested in the use of Aqua Dragon in this folder. Shadow is running 2 of them specifically. It is good damage, and it can be chip charged with Aqua Cross, but going into crosses with a Humor setup is usually not ideal because you don't have access to that chance to get both anger, to get the anger status out of it. So,
yeah, it's just the solid chip in general. The ice panels it creates are also very useful.
That's a good point. That is a good point. I think the only dragon chip that doesn't modify panels is Heat Dragon, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Heat Dragon is still very useful, though, for crossing Tomahawk Cross and doing ×2 damage on grass.
That was such good value out of that static right there. Now, it is, if you blink, you missed it. Shadow dropped attack plus 30 on that static and ended up getting a lucky counter on Salad with that static. So he got a little bit of, got the bonus damage out of that, and he's going, because of the Humor bug, into next turn with 2 times full synchro. Is he going to be able to get the full synchro Meteor Knuckle? He is!
Oh, Salad manages to TFC with the anti-damage, so...
Symes! What was that? Oh my goodness. This is a little... Ooh! Okay. This is something I think a lot of players are starting to catch up, or to really latch on to, since Bug Death Thunder tends to be pretty widely played, and it's a tough chip to work around, especially when those area grabs start coming out. The Shield Navi Customizer program is a great answer to it. Unfortunately, it's a little tricky to do back B when in laggy matches, but...
Yeah, Shield is the main reason why I actually run uninstall with BDT.
That's smart.
So Solid actually is a barrier, but the static will blow that away, and then the machine gun will decrust the dust.
Shadow is still running at an HP advantage right now. Salad held on to that life aura for the opportune moment. A lot of players tend to kind of end up making a mistake where they try to like mash and get their chips out pretty quickly, but being a little bit more patient can net you some rewards. In this instance, if Salad would have just ran with the life aura there, I mean, it would have still prevented that flash bomb from going off, but it also gave room for the turn to kind of progress. Does that make sense? Like, I'm kind of rambling, but...
So Shadow is giving up the humor here just to remove the aura with Tengu Cross. Now Judgment is gonna let Solid get her area back, because Judgment works well with BDT, because with Judgment it doesn't push them out of your area like Banish does. But BDT forces them out of your area because no one's just gonna stand there and just take the BDT hits.
Yeah.
So it's they have good synergy together.
For sure. And this is a really tricky situation. So one of the quirks of, or not really a quirk, but if you go into a turn with battle chips and you finish out a turn and you still have chips queued, if you just hit OK on the custom screen, it'll maintain those chips next turn. And Shadow is really wanting to get value out of that last man. Is he going to be able to do it before that drops? Now, this is going to end up doing 2 times damage, which is sufficient enough to pop the life aura here.
Unless Salad hits with the circle gun, which will make him blink. Oh, that trap must be the other anti-Navi or anti-sword. Which means that his slash man won't work here. So going into Thok, we'll get rid of the blind from the flash bomb and also make it so he can't be frozen again. So that's a pretty good play here.
Okay. Shadow going into the next turn. Now, Salad using Circle Gun is... I think Circle Gun is a lot more efficient of a cursor-type chip than Magnum is, because it does have that kind of cascading effect compared to Magnum, where if you just time it wrong, you just time it wrong. Ooh, he ends up unfortunately throwing that flash bomb right off the stage there. He's not going to get good value out of it. If he were Aquacross, he wouldn't have slid on those panels though. But going into it, he unfortunately, maybe he mashed it out, but that's a really unfortunate lob of the grenade there. Going for a little defense. Now, this is such a tricky situation. Thankfully, he is going to get... Oh, my goodness! The anti-damage is going to go up after the fact. He's still going to get decrossed and take the double damage from that. Anubis is down. Again, I was talking about that poison pressure, but thankfully the Bubble Star was able to go ahead and clear that off.
They both judge-man each other.
Wow.
Very important to see who can mash out of this first. His Shadow left at 6 HP from the Bucks.
Oh my goodness! That's going to be a delete. So if a player is deleted, their chip on a TFC chain does not fire off. So unfortunately, that was just enough to close out.
Not having an undershirt cost Shadow there.
Yep. It's just unfortunate. But I mean, then again, looking at Shadow's Navi Customizer, they didn't necessarily have a lot of space to work with.
Yeah, unfortunately it's the same color as his Cust Plus 2, and you obviously don't want that Cust bug, so couldn't fit it in.
I don't like this field. This field just gives me anxiety. But on the bright side, it favors Falter players, because you can Dust Cross to get the Ice Cubes up, you can Aqua Cross to not have to deal with the Ice panels, and get a freeze effect on the Charge Shot. It's just... it's rough. I mean, it beats Poison, I guess.
The worst is any field with the perma holes.
Oh my god. I agree completely.
That prevents area grabs. You can't ever change them.
Renegade Gambler Ace in chat asks if fields are randomly generated. They are randomly generated from a predetermined pool of fields based off of the type of net battle that you're doing. So triple battle practice, or triple battle and single battle have different sets of fields that are...
That's unfortunate for Shadow there. He basically lost everything that turn from the CC. And also the ice made it so he couldn't position himself to use the static properly. It was actually a mistake to do that area grab beforehand. It's similar to trying to use static when you have warp clutch.
Oh, that's a good point actually. Oh, this is so bad. Well, you're right. Given the current situation, I don't think that Shadow really has very many options outside of the stock defenses in order to kind of answer it, because he's got no choice but to contend with the field, for starters. And it doesn't look like Salad is batting an eyelash on it. It's going to be really hard for him to land the flash bombs, too. Hopefully he won't make the same error that he did in the first round there. But then again, I mean, I've run into my own little boilers on ice panels, so I can't really say anything.
He seems to be going into Aqua Cross here, because he has the Bubble Stars and Aqua Dragon, which he can still charge for a guaranteed ×2.
Okay, that was really, really smart. I think... oh my goodness.
And he could charge this to take out the aura.
And it looks like he did, and ended up getting some extra damage
he
there.
threw the Flash Bomb off again. All he needed to do was just step back. That's unfortunate.
Again, this kind of goes back to that element of patience that needs to happen in Battle Network. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. A lot of players are, but when you take a little bit of extra time to make sure that your positioning is good, being able to fire off your chips is more important than you firing the chips that you're firing off, if that makes sense. Like if you, for instance, I mean, it's pretty much lost value in this instance, and it could be anything from a ground man over a whole panel or something like that. But just taking that extra set of frames, in some cases it could be make or break, but you know.
It's a lot harder to do when there's a fast gauge in effect. But yes, this is still just at a normal gauge, I think, so... Ooh, that Judgment SP is gonna do a lot of damage to the Aqua Cross.
Salad opting to stay on the same exact panel there to go ahead and consume up the bomb. The static is out. I don't think he managed to get Anger out of that static, though. That would have been a little bit of extra damage on it. So, like we mentioned at the top of the match, he is using a Humor Bug. The way that works is it cycles through the emotions that base Mega Man has. So it can be full synchro, tired status, disallowing crosses, and beast out. It can also be anger, and it can also just be normal blinky Mega Man.
Well, the tired just allows beast out. That would be really bad if it disallowed crosses. Oh man.
Well, tired state. Yeah, you're right. I got very tired and tired mixed up there.
Oh, very tired is awful. That HP drain is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why Beast Over is only used as like a last resort, because if they survive it, you're in huge trouble.
Exactly. Okay, so I don't know if Shadow's waiting for the opportune time. He ended up waiting just a little bit there. I don't know if he was fishing for an emotion status there.
Salad was invisible, so he was waiting for that to end. And then he pulled the trigger on the match gun just a little bit too early, which was unfortunate. But he still clears the anti-damage with the bees, so now he can go for the Meteor Knuckle play.
Assuming Salad does not drop any defensive options on the next turn, which it's kind of tough, especially even knowing your opponent's folder. It's a little difficult to kind of keep mental track of all of the defensive options your opponent has. So in this instance, it could be easily read that there's a trap up, or that there might be a defensive option incoming.
Well, he's going for the Element Man first to try and fish it out with a TFC.
It would have been a little more ideal if he had access to a cursor chip, which is why I think a lot of players run machine guns now.
He has a bunch of machine guns.
Yep.
But
he's used a lot of them this particular match, unfortunately. Salad taking your time customizing out while the bees stare on longingly. They're just staring at the upcoming matches, I think. Anubis is down, Element Man up. Okay, he ends up just...
I think that was a below average number of hits since she was in the corner.
Yep. Now, it is fortunate that Circle Gun got TFC with anti-damage, otherwise the anti-damage would have been completely absorbed. This Blast Man is going to end up clearing out the trap. The Bug Death Thunder is still there, but ends up just whizzing on by. Just minding its own business.
Alright, he could close it out right here with the with this turn. The Slash Man is actually a pretty strong Navi with the kunais, so...
It really is. Now that's a command code, isn't it?
Yeah, all it is though is you just have to hold down B, so it's not like a bar sword or anything.
Okay. I think the Invis TFC here was really wise. So if your opponent is using Rush, I mean it's not the case in this specific instance, but if your opponent is using Rush and you Invis on a TFC chain, Invis does fire off. That static is so strong. Is he going to get the Slash Man kill, or is Salad going to be able to bait it out? The ball, it's just... And the command code ends up closing it out as Shadow gets a match on Salad. Ending the round angry.
Yeah, he's angry that he won.
There's just so... There's... Very, very clean match. After everything is considered. Very, very high tension there towards the end, I would say. Salad going into Dustcross right at the gate to go ahead and get that back B as Shadow starts the first round in green Invis. It's a little bit of extended version of Invis with invulnerability. Both players flash bomb, and Shadow puts the shield up, blocking that, and wow, that is such good value on that shield. It blocked not just the flash bomb, but both of the rocks that were shot out from Dustcross. That was a stellar
the rocks are breaking. It broke through. But he at least blocked the circle gun and the flash bomb.
I completely forgot that they're breaking when it's shot out like that. I need to read the guides. I really do. At discord.m1gp.net. Now, this is a really unfortunate situation. Shadow is starting this round out in blind status, so...
Yeah, even though he blocked the flash bomb with shield, it still blinded him.
That is so bad. So, the only option there was the TFC. So what happened there is Bodyguard had a white pill attached to it, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you can't do that with anti-damage, can you?
You can, but there's not really a point.
Okay. That makes sense. It's kind of better used for other chips, like, I don't know, machine gun, or literally anything else.
Yeah, machine gun with white pill is okay. Machine gun 3 is actually very strong if you can get them in the middle with a get-on.
Oh, that's a good point, because they just can't really do anything, and it's cursor property, so if they have They have a trap that's as good as gone.
Yeah, with the race cross, it's a 400 damage, but I think S-Code is just a machine gun too. I mean, it's still a very useful chip for decrossing dust and removing traps, so...
Okay. Ooh, got the counter on that. Very good placement on the flash bomb there, taking the extra time to aim it specifically there. Salad's Barrier 200 is going to end up taking the brunt of that flash bomb out, and also finishes the turn with a trap still up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he doesn't have a Meteor Knuckle here, because that would do a lot of damage with the full column lock.
Ooh, that would. Ooh, that's really rough. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. But this is really tricky. It's very, very pivotal that Shadow plays this turn very, very carefully. Ooh, the click of doom. Now that is going to, that would have done double damage on that blast man. Both of the players are blowing each other away with their back B. Okay, the invis goes off now. I'm actually not entirely sure why Shadow queued up Grab Banish on there. Maybe it was to get the... I think it was probably just to get the chip out of the custom, but he's at the end of his folder.
Still no Meteor Knuckle, that's unfortunate.
Let's see. TSC and Biz. Now this is pretty unusual. Someone in chat pointed it out. There is pinch music. Someone in the chat pointed it out a little bit earlier. Blood Death Thunder in a Salad folder is actually very uncommon, but it looks like this is a departure from Salad's normal type of folder building, pulling out all the stops for the New Moon turn.
So he has the Meteor Knuckle now. He just needs to wait for that invis to wear off. So he needs to survive until then.
Yeah. Judgeman is going to end up reclaiming some of the area for Salad. It isn't going to get the knockback there because of the paralysis effect there, but the deletion on the flash bomb is a clean way to end out that specific round. What a match. What a stellar match. So we were talking about it a little bit ago, just to take a few moments while we're preparing the next video for view and the setup as well, to talk about the New Moon event. For those that are just joining us on the stream, New Moon is a new tournament format that's on the N1 Grand Prix Discord, a tournament that is a lot more flexible than traditional ones, where you can play in a round-robin form at your own pace throughout the entirety of a week in what are referred to as cycles. So this is the second week, the second cycle. Players can register and join the N1 Grand Prix Discord at discord.m1gp.net and join the New Moon cycle that is coming up next week. The only caveat is that you have to provide your setups because they are public, and record your matches to be shown on the stream specifically. The information is currently up on the stream. So again, it's a great opportunity for you to get some input on your folder to kind of level your game up without any kind of pressure and kind of play at your own pace. So it is a terrific way to get into the spirit of net battling. So we're preparing for the next match, which is going to end up being K3 versus Snugs.
Yeah, Snugs is a newer player, so it's good to see him show up for this.
Yeah, so let's take a look at both of the folder setups here. I want to point out too that the Navi chip choices for Snug specifically are really kind of sticking out to me because it seems to be kind of a B code with a P code splash specifically. What are your thoughts on Snug setup?
Yeah, the B code is pretty standard. He's got a boomer, fire hit, mash guns. He is B banish. I'm not really sure about the P code because he already has the machine guns in B code, so the circle gun doesn't really help him. And he has Aqua Dragons and Golem hits, which could set up a strong freeze break combo, but it's just Golem hit 2, so he might have been better off going with the H code, because that has the Aqua Dragon, but with Golem hit 3.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, B code is always pretty strong, so... And then K3 has a very interesting setup. He is playing Custom Bug as Gregor, which is very risky. You can use Charge Cross to delay it, but it could still get really bad if you lose it and don't draw a Bug Fix. And he's also playing a Bug Riser sword with lots of area, so...
Yeah, so I also wanted to take a moment real quick to look at the NaviCust setup here. So again, another requirement of the New Moon tournament is to be able to submit your Navi customizer setup as well. So it looks like K3 is opting for more of kind of a more HP stack running HP 900 altogether throughout this. Whereas Snugs looks like it's running Beat as well as Rush for everything else. But let's go ahead and jump right into the match here. This is from K3's perspective? Yes.
I think he recorded with OBS, so you have to skip the pause.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah,
the magic of...
Oh, he's already got that static uninstall. That's nice.
It's such good... All right. As a G-code player myself, static uninstall and static white pill are really, really good. For those that aren't familiar with how static works specifically, the effects of static are determined by the number of bugs that are currently active in your Navi customizer. So I believe if it's 2 or more, you get a full 2x3 static blast.
It's 3.
It is 3? Okay.
But bugging an HP part gives you 2 bugs at once. It gives you the HP bug and the damage bug. So then you only need to bug one more thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, static was actually changed slightly in 6, because in 4 and 5 it actually paralyzed them if they had super armor. And in 6 it lost that, but it was also a evil chip. So I guess when it became a good chip, it lost the paralysis.
Remember, kids, never play with dark chips. Alright. Snugs going into Tengu Cross here. K3 is starting out the round in blind status, which is kind of an unfortunate way to start the battle.
Yeah, that color bug isn't working out for him.
But of course,
uninstall though.
On the flip side, you do have the opportunity of getting green and Viz out of color bug. Anubis that close to the opposing player is a little bit tricky. Some people like to kind of baby their Anubis and guard it with their body when they drop it there. It looks like K3 did draw Bug Fix to kind of clean out all the bugs, get the cobwebs out of the Navicust. Slash cross potentially. Maybe for a more defensive turn. Now, it is worth noting too that if K3 ends up dropping Area Grab Sanctuary here, and it'll be pretty much full value unless Snugs has an answer for that kind of area control. I think if K3 would have waited just a little bit longer, that the Area Grab would have been ultimately expired, because the area does go back to you after a certain amount of time. But
it lasts long enough that I think it was better to just use the area grab there.
that's fair. That's fair. A little bit questionable chip usage on Snugs' part. Some of the behaviors of the chips may not have worked out the way that Snugs have wanted. And it also seems that Snugs is kind of hugging the back panels, which K3 technically can use to his advantage, but based off of the folder setup, Snugs does have a lot of offensive options, but they seem to be kind of catered towards field position for the opponent, which is going to be a little tricky to do in this situation.
Oh, he lost the, Oh, that's unfortunate. He lost the Blast Man to beat.
That would have been...
Now he has the Slash Cross set up, so...
He's going to end up getting more value standing on... I mean, even if he is draining his own HP on the poison panel, he's still going to get pretty good value out of continuing just Slash Cross Charge Shot here.
Oh, and Snugs missed his own blast, man. That was unfortunate. All he needed to do was just stand in the middle row.
But again,
with the slow gauge and aura in his hand, this could be a very strong turn for K3 if he puts up the slow gauge and then uses the aura to make sure Snugs can't get him out of his area. But he's giving up Slash Cross to go into Charge Cross to take out the Tomahawk Cross. That's interesting.
I think he still would have gotten a little bit more mileage out of Slash there, but I get it. So now, if K3 moves from those front panels, they will be reclaimed there, but K3 ends up getting the double damage and deep cross off of Snugs there. Trap is down. Snugs going on the defensive with Life Aura. So I feel like the Element Man getting Tomahawk Cross out kind of defeated the purpose of going into Charge Cross there, unless K3 was doing it for the Invis frames on Charge Cross's Charge Shot. But even then, Aura was up, so it's kind of a... Oh my goodness. We have not seen very much mileage out of this Giga Chip on the M1 Grand Prix events, or any events for that matter.
Well, it did do well in the Reverse Gigas event we had before.
That was
Yeah, it was a lot of fun using it in Falser. I'd like to do that again at some point. But,
Ooh! Both of these players have defenses up. He ends up missing a sword in true...
Yeah, if he steps back, he'll lose the area, so he's just staying there.
Yep. So the only unfortunate drawback to Bug Rise Sword is if your opponent does any sort of area control, it kind of it makes it sort of moot. Whereas with chips like Bug Death Thunder, there's no like area requirement. Bug Rise Sword hits in the same area as a Life Sword, which is 2x3.
Yeah, the only requirement for BDT is to not be at a negative area. It still works at an even area.
Oh, this is such a tough spot. It doesn't look like Snugs is going to be able to get out of that deep cross or losing the chip as a result of that. Now, K3 is taking advantage of Erase Beast's Beast Charge, which inflicts, I believe, a level 2 HP bug on the opponent. There's a level 1.
Well, he kills himself on the poison.
So
yeah, Erase Beast Charge is very strong because it does 220 damage at level 5, so it takes out Life Aura. It's a cursor, so it takes out traps, and it pierces Invis, so there isn't really any good way of guarding against it.
It is extremely strong. Okay, K3 taking advantage of the Holy Panel there. That Proto Man is only going to do half damage because K3 is on said Holy Panel. Okay, just kind of a standard Buster turn here.
And he's protected from being paralyzed by the rush with the barrier.
It's actually, I think, I don't know if there's any other player that does it, but I personally run Fast Barrier and Invis on Reg to bait out Rush early, just for that very reason, to just kind of get it out of the way. And I don't spend a chip with having to use a defensive option prior. But it looks like K3 was able to roll. I don't think, was Rush triggered last game? I don't think it was.
Oh, so Snugs is going into Aqua Cross to try and take out the Charge Cross.
Ooh. Slick dodge there. Ooh, ends up getting the D-Cross on that too. That was pretty good value out of the Aqua Dragon.
Yeah, he stepped back, so after losing the barrier, he also got hit by it. That was pretty unfortunate for K3. He already draws the Bug Riser sword, though, very early. That's going to be hard for Snugs to deal with, unless he has a Judge Man to reclaim that area. But he's not. He's going with the Element Man. Probably to try and get the ×2 elect on the Aqua Cross, which really hurts.
It'll still be really good value out of it.
Oh, but Snugs had the aura, so now he's just going to use the fire to take out the aura.
This is so tricky. Oh, it's so tricky. Ends up getting the freeze effect on the ice panel for that charge shot. One of probably the coolest qualities of Aqua Cross, next to the fact that it has a near instantaneous charge, which is insane.
Yeah, and it's very strong in a mod cards format with the Freeze Man mod card, because the P-Shot can spawn an ice panel under them, so you can just freeze them over and over again with it.
Yeah. Ooh. Bugrise Sword is down there. K3 has a defensive option set up. That circle gun, if it fires off, which it does, ends up breaking the trap, so it's kind of unfortunate there, but all it's going to really take is a... all it's really going to take is that charge shot to D-Cross.
And he's already down to his last 5 chips here, but he still has the area control. Or wait, I think he hasn't used bug fix yet this game, so that's just the cust bug kicking in.
You know, we mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's not a very pretty bug to have to deal with. Okay, it's gonna end up
just letting the Erase Man time out, not taking any chances here of it missing. He needs a way to get K3 out of his area here, though. Otherwise, he's gonna take those Bug Riser swords. Oh, he has the Banish.
So by getting him out of that as well, he is going to get value out of the holy panels there too, taking advantage of it. Even though the Bug Rise Sword is there, both of the players are just kind of hacking at each other as the round just goes.
And K3 has no way of getting back his area this turn, so... But he could get a lot of damage if he can catch Snugs with that Blast Man off the holy panels. Oh, he gets him.
Ooh. It's going to be tricky. Unfortunately, K3 is at a kind of a disadvantage here, given the current circumstance. Is it going to do... It's one Buster shot away, and under slow gauge, it's just going to be a quick close as Snug finishes that out. Very well played by Snugs. I think that round was just more of outlasting K3 than really anything else, but it ended up being pretty solid.
Yeah, also that cust bug really hurt K3, but he won't have to deal with it this round since he gets the bug fix on the first turn. He's going for the slash cross here since he already drew 2 area grabs. He also got the blast man when they're on a grass field, so that could be a very strong opening turn for K3 here.
Static up there to go ahead and blow that fast barrier away. Blast Man SP.
Snugs is getting him with the blast man.
Getting a double damage. Stop the machine gun is down.
Snugs lands a dust cross charge on him here. He could decross that slash, but that's easier said than done. K3's also going to go for the back row fanfare play here. So that's probably not a good idea as long as Snugs still has the dust cross, since he could still just suck up the fanfare. But otherwise, back row objects are very strong if he could actually manage to get them set up.
Especially like chips like Anubis or even Poison Pharaoh can really put your opponent at a very precarious position.
Oh, he's giving up the dust, so the back row fanfare play could have worked, but instead he has barrier and aura, which is still very strong.
So that Tomahawk Charge Boomer would have also done some pretty good work. Unfortunately, it looks like that may have been a misplay on Snugs' part, because there could have been a couple of other options there for that Element Man specifically. I don't think it's very seldom that I see someone hit the elect version of Element Man intentionally in the proper circumstances.
So what Snugs could actually do here is, if he is a Windwreck, he could actually, since K3 doesn't have shoes, he could actually go for Ground Cross here. Like, Ground Cross is a pretty niche cross, but it definitely has some applications. But he's going, I guess he doesn't have a Windwreck, so he has to go for Tengu. Oh, he has the Golem hit though. That will take care of the slash cross. And also protect his Tengu. That would have been very bad for him if it wasn't for it. Beat is taking the blast man.
So he can still fanfare here safely and be pretty safe with it. He's going to be able to get
fanfares in the middle, so his boomers won't take it out. And he already used his blast man, so it will be very hard for him to deal with this unless he beasts out.
This is pretty tricky. This is really tricky. Both of the players are at pretty similar HP as well. And he could panel return here and get pretty decent value out of it. I don't really like this hand. It's actually kind of tricky.
He has Snugs with the fanfare. He has them locked in a row, so Snugs won't be able to avoid the elect cross charge shots.
Okay, going into elect cross there for sure. Meteor Knuckle is down.
Knuckle.
Yikes. Thankfully, he was able to, RNG was able to be on his side, so he avoided getting completely obliterated by all the Meteor Knuckles. That Green Abyss is just so strong. It's such a good state. It's the only thing that can pop Green Invis as anti-recuv. It's the only thing in the game that can do it. which is
He
weird.
needs to get out of this Tengu cross, otherwise he's gonna take a lot of damage from that Bug Riser sword.
Baiting out the anti-damage there. Ends up getting
he's
the
still
judgment.
invincible from the fanfare. That was not a good TFC for him.
Ooh, ends up getting that, and it's going to end up being a one Bug Riser sword, cutting him off as he was trying to say something. And that is going to end up closing out the matches for this cycle stream for New Moon. So, what did you think of that set?
It was a pretty interesting set. It was always nice to see Bug Riser's sword putting in some work. And yeah, the next cycle's actually gonna start tomorrow, so you need to people need to try and get their setups into Salad tonight. And we have a trailer for it that we're going to play now.
Yep. There we go.
I wonder what all that corn could mean.
There will be corn. So just a couple tidbits of follow-up information here. So the M1 Grand Prix Yumland Cup, the next event in season 3, is going to be coming up in September. So keep your eye on the M1 Grand Prix Twitter for more information coming up on that. The remainder of the matches that are in Cycle 2 will be played at a future date. So that also will be on the M1 Grand Prix Discord. So if you haven't already, go ahead and join the Discord at discord.m1gp.net. And the other matches will be played at a future time. And yes, there will be corn. So that's going to do it for me. Yeah. So thank you.
Later, guys. Thanks for joining in today.
Take care.